Repeat that, Admiral. The what just vanished? The entire colony, sir. All 3 million souls. No distress call. No debris, just gone. The command bridge fell silent. Only the hum of the UNS Valiant's engines filled the void. Through the viewport, the dying red light of Kepler-92b's star shimmered like a fading heartbeat. Captain Aria Vale stood still, her jaw clenched, the muscles in her cheek twitching. Her eyes, usually sharp and blue as ice, now carried the storm of someone who'd seen too much and still refused to blink. She whispered, almost to herself, "That was our first colony outside the Orion Arm." "Yes, ma'am," replied Lieutenant Wren. "First fully self-sufficient human world." His voice cracked. "And it's gone in under a minute." The data feed played again, a hollow static, then black. One frame before disappearance, a faint silver flash above the colony dome. Then nothing. No energy readings. No radiation. No trace of time distortion. Something, or someone, had erased them clean out of existence. Aria turned toward the crew. "Lock down all comms. Nobody outside this room talks until we know what we're facing." A deep unease rippled through the bridge. The Valiant wasn't just any ship. It was Earth's flagship, carrying the weight of every nation that had ever flown under the human banner. The vessel's armor gleamed with the patchwork of history, old emblems of the United Nations, the Space Coalition, even the Crimson Banner of Mars. Humanity's unity forged not by peace, but by necessity. And now something had just challenged that unity. Wren broke the silence. "Captain, there's chatter on the Galactic net." "From whom?" "The Council of Species. They've declared a level 10 threat." Aria's brow furrowed. "Level 10? That's apocalyptic," Wren finished. "They haven't raised it in over 10,000 years." The bridge lights dimmed automatically as a hollow feed flared in the center. The image of the Galactic Council chamber appeared. Thousands of alien representatives from every corner of known space. Shimmering, jelly-like beings floated beside armored reptilians. Crystalline intelligences pulsed beside luminous orbs of plasma. At the center, the Speaker of the Council, an ancient insectoid named Varek, leaned forward, his voice clicking and echoing. "To all sentient civilizations, the entity that consumed human colony Kepler-92b has been identified. It is an echo from the precursor age. Designation, Eclipser. Threat analysis, beyond measurable." The chamber erupted into chaos, shouts, panic, and then silence as Varek added, "Effective immediately." "The galaxy is at threat level maximum," Wren muttered. "They're terrified." Aria's lips twitched into something that wasn't quite a smile. "Good. That means they finally understand what we've been saying for centuries." She turned toward the viewport. "Helm set a course for Kepler-92b, full burn. We're going to see what's left." "Captain, the Council just quarantined that system." "They forbade entry, did they?" Aria said dryly. "Well, tell them humanity says." "Hold my beer." A few chuckles broke the tension, but only for a heartbeat. Because deep down, every soul aboard Valiant felt the same cold truth. Whatever erased Kepler-92b could erase them just as easily. Still, humans had always been stubborn about fear. The Valiant jumped into the dark. Stars stretched, light fractured, and silence filled the in-between space. In the stillness, Aria thought about the colony's last transmission. A child's laughter in the background of a weather report. That sound haunted her now, echoing through the hum of the engines. She opened a private channel. "Fleet Command, this is Captain Vale of the Valiant. Confirming course to Kepler-92b for reconnaissance. We'll maintain full blackout." "Negative, Captain," came Command's tight voice. "Council orders are clear. Return to Sol." "Can't comply," she said. "They raised the threat level to maximum. Humanity doesn't wait for someone else to clean up its mess." She cut the link. Wren hesitated. "Captain, what if the Council's right? What if this thing isn't something we can fight?" Aria's gaze hardened. "Then we find out why it's picking on us, and we make it regret that choice." Hours later, the Valiant emerged at the coordinates of Kepler-92b. But the planet wasn't there, not even dust. Just a shimmering distortion where space seemed to bend inward, like the surface of a black ocean rippling in slow motion. Every sensor screamed, "Gravitic field spike," shouted Wren. "It's forming, something's forming." Then they heard it. A low, resonant hum too deep to be sound, something that vibrated inside their skulls. The distortion rippled wider, revealing colossal shapes moving beneath the black shimmer. Aria whispered, "On screen. Now." And the bridge gasped. It wasn't a ship. It wasn't alive. It was something in between, massive, fluid, and covered in shifting geometric scars that bent starlight. The hum deepened into a voice, mechanical yet ancient. Curious. They still remember how to defy. The crew froze. The being spoke their language. Aria straightened, her heartbeat steady. "You've made a mistake," she said quietly. "You came to the wrong planet." The entity paused as if amused, and the stars themselves seemed to shiver. The Valiant trembled as the massive distortion pulsed. Every sensor screamed warnings in tones humans weren't meant to hear. Even the ship's AI, Athena, was hesitant. "Captain, the gravimetric anomaly is exceeding containment thresholds. Structural integrity at 37%, Athena said, her voice calm but tense. "I recommend immediate withdrawal." Aria's hands hovered over the console, her mind sharp and unyielding. "Athena, we're not leaving. Not until we understand what it is and why it erased Kepler 92b. Ren swallowed hard. "Ma'am, this thing spoke. It knows us. Knows our language?" Aria's eyes narrowed. "Then it just made the first human mistake, underestimating us." Outside the viewport, the black shimmer shifted. Shapes like living architecture writhed within, impossible to categorize, neither solid nor liquid. Geometry folded upon itself in impossible angles. It was beautiful and terrifying at once, like staring at a frozen nightmare. The hum became a whisper, filling the bridge with vibrations that gnawed at the crew's bones. Then the voice returned. "Why do you interfere? This galaxy is scheduled? Scheduled?" Ren repeated, voice unsteady. "Scheduled for what?" The entity paused. The bridge lights flickered in response. "Termination. All systems. All worlds. Errors must be corrected. You are a variable." Aria tilted her head, lips tightening. "You call humanity an error? Bold, but if we're a variable, then I guess we're about to multiply." Ren muttered under his breath. "Captain, it's laughing at us." "I don't see laughter. I see a target," she said softly. "And targets can be hit, especially if they're arrogant enough to announce themselves." Athena's voice cut through. "Unknown entity is generating temporal flux waves. Time near the distortion is unstable." "Unstable how?" Aria demanded. "Events are overlapping. Past, present, and future appear. Simultaneous. I am detecting echoes of the Kepler 92b colony as if they exist and never existed at the same time." Aria's stomach tightened. "So the people, they might be alive or dead, or both." A tense silence filled the bridge. Every crew member could feel the weight of a single truth. They were standing on the edge of something older than the galaxy itself, something that did not obey logic or mercy. Then the entity's voice returned, calm, deliberate in a way meant to break resolve. "Resistance is illogical. Humanity has 3 standard cycles before deletion. 3 cycles. Roughly 3 Earth days." Ren's face went pale. 3 days? Aria nodded once. "Then we don't have a minute to waste." The Valiant's engines flared. She punched in coordinates not for Kepler 92b, there was nothing there, but for the surrounding systems that might hold clues. "We're going to find the pattern it follows," she said, voice low and fierce. "We're going to understand its logic, and then we're going to break it." Athena's holographic display shimmered, showing clusters of energy lines connecting systems like a spiderweb. Based on observed behavior, the entity follows patterns linked to high-density civilizations. Earth-origin colonies are of significant interest. Aria's jaw tightened. "So it knows us. Specifically us. The galaxy's finest species. The ones who don't quit. The ones who—" She broke off. A chill ran down her spine. Outside, the black shimmer pulsed again. A faint outline began to form. Geometry spinning faster, folding inward. Something within the entity moved toward the surface. Ren's voice trembled. "Captain, it's coming closer, like into our space." Aria's eyes glinted. "Let it come. That's what humans do. We meet the impossible, stare it down, and sometimes we survive because we refuse to stop thinking, planning, and moving." A soft alarm sounded, and Athena's voice added, "Captain, unknown object emerging from temporal distortion. Mass estimates exceed planetary scale. Motion vector heading directly for the Valiant. Brace for impact," Aria said, her tone calm, almost bored. "And then we hit it back." The bridge lights flickered again. For a heartbeat, the Valiant seemed suspended in a moment that didn't exist, a moment where time and space held their breath. And then, the entity spoke again, slower this time, as if savoring the dread. Human, you are persistent. But persistence is meaningless. I will begin the counting. The words weren't just spoken. They resonated, vibrating through every metal plate and neuron alike. Time itself seemed to shudder. Aria's gaze hardened. Then let's see who counts faster. As the Valiant surged forward, leaving a trail of warping light, the black shimmer ahead split open like a wound in reality. From its depths, something ancient and impossibly large began to emerge. It was no longer just a distortion. It was a presence. And it was watching humanity, waiting. Somewhere in the void, faint laughter echoed. Not alien, not machine, but something that knew fear and thought it could feed on it. Aria clenched her fists. Not today, not ever. Humans don't give up. We don't beg. We don't vanish quietly. And we sure as hell don't get counted. The entity paused. A ripple went through its form as if acknowledging the defiance. And for the first time, the Valiant's sensors recorded an anomaly, a pattern, a pulse, something calculable, a spark of hope in the face of the impossible. But 3 cycles remained, and the galaxy's clocks were already ticking. The Valiant sailed through the trembling expanse, leaving star streaks curling around the hull. Every crew member moved with a mix of awe and fear, an unspoken knowledge that whatever awaited them was far beyond anything humanity had faced. Aria Vale didn't feel fear. Not exactly. She felt anticipation, the kind that comes from standing on the edge of a storm and knowing you're the lightning rod. Report, she said. Voice clipped, eyes scanning the holo displays. Lieutenant Wren swallowed. The entity. It's following us. Not at a constant velocity, but in pulses. Almost like it's testing us. Aria's fingers tapped the console. Testing, of course. That's how they all start. By seeing what you're made of. She let a faint smirk curl her lips. Well, let's give it a show, Athena, ever calm, interjected. Captain, preliminary scans indicate fluctuations in the entity's structure. Portions of it appear to be observing specific crew members directly. Neural targeting. It can anticipate actions before they are taken. Aria raised an eyebrow. Anticipates? Sounds like it hasn't met humanity yet. Wren grimaced. Captain, if it's predicting actions, that means any mistake we make could be fatal. One wrong step and then we make no mistakes, Aria cut in, sharp and precise. And if we have to, we improvise. Her eyes glimmered with something fierce, almost reckless. Humans have a knack for turning the impossible into a punchline. A low hum filled the bridge. The crew stiffened. The black shimmer, now more defined, rippled at the edge of sensors, twisting light and reality. On screen, Aria commanded. The main viewport flickered. Inside the shimmer, geometric shapes pulsated, folding in on themselves. And within them, shadows moved, not solid, not entirely intangible. Eyes glowed faintly, impossibly, in the shape of humanoids. They weren't human. They weren't anything human had catalogued. Wren's voice barely rose above a whisper. They're watching. They're curious, Aria said. Curiosity is dangerous. And humans are irresistible to the curious. Athena's holographic display expanded, showing multiple pulses radiating outward from the entity. It is cataloging energy signatures. It's marking our ship as a priority. The surrounding systems are showing temporal distortions consistent with a preemptive containment field. Aria's lips tightened. Then we get ahead of it. We make the first move. Hours later, the Valiant reached a dark nebula that the entity's pulses hadn't penetrated. Inside, the stars were scarce, light swallowed by clouds of magnetic dust. Perfect for a tactical advantage, Aria muttered. She keyed a private channel. Wren, prep the skimmers. We're going in close. We need eyes on its structure. Direct observation. No AI interference, Wren hesitated. Ma'am, this could be suicidal. We still don't know what it really is. Aria's eyes narrowed. Then we make history by finding out. And history remembers the ones who refuse to run. The skimmers launched like streaks of fire, small, nimble against the vast black shapes ahead. From the bridge, the crew watched the shadows ripple like the entity was aware, waiting, calculating. Inside the nebula, they found it. Not the full entity, but fragments, pieces that hung in space like crystallized smoke, each segment pulsing with knowledge and thought. Patterns twisted in and out of reality. revealing glimpses of civilizations that had vanished, of stars snuffed out before life could bloom. One skimmer hovered too close. A shadow unfurled like a living net and wrapped around it. Sensors showed it simultaneously crushed and unharmed. Ren's voice quivered. It's thinking, or feeling? Call it whatever makes you sleep at night, Aria said. Her jaw was tight. We take data, we return, simple. The skimmers returned, feeds full of images that no human brain could fully comprehend. Geometry that defied physics, structures that bent time, whispers of knowledge older than the galaxy itself. Athena analyzed the data. Captain, the entity is ancient, yes, but it is also evolving. Every observation we make changes its structure. It learns faster than we can adapt. Aria leaned against the console. Then we do something humans have been doing for millennia. Think faster than expected. Outwit, outmaneuver, outlive. Ren looked uneasy. Captain, the council, they're still watching. If they see us engaging directly, they might intervene. Let them, Aria said. Her gaze was sharp, unyielding. We don't wait for others to protect us. We are the storm. Humanity doesn't negotiate with annihilation. As the Valiant drifted out of the nebula, a pulse radiated from the entity, sharper this time, almost a warning. The lights flickered across the bridge, and for a brief second every crew member saw visions. Flashes of Earth, of Mars, of colonies before their time, erased in an instant. Aria clenched her fists. 3 cycles remain, she muttered, more to herself than anyone else. And we've just started the first move. Somewhere in the void, the entity shifted, a ripple of soundless thought moving toward them. And for the first time, it hesitated. Humans weren't supposed to fight the incomprehensible. But they always did. Aria whispered almost reverently. Let's see if it remembers that. The Valiant cut through the void like a blade, its hull shimmering under the faint pulse of the entity. Every sensor screamed warnings, but Captain Aria Vale didn't flinch. Fear was a tool for the weak. Humans? They made fear their fuel. Status report, she said, her voice low but commanding. Lieutenant Ren's fingers danced over the console. The entity is reorganizing. It's splitting its structure into multiple independent nodes. They're moving toward inhabited systems along the Orion fringe. Each node radiates temporal distortions. If they reach those systems, billions of lives could vanish, faster than we can react. Aria's eyes narrowed. Then we stop it before it spreads. Athena interjected, calm but precise. Captain, direct engagement could be catastrophic. We don't know the full capabilities of these nodes. One wrong move and the Valiant could be erased. Aria smirked. Catastrophe is just another word humans turn into victory. Helm locked trajectory toward the nearest node. Prepare weapons and tactical drones. Ren's jaw tightened. Captain, are you sure? I've never been more sure, Aria said. Her eyes reflected the black shimmer that pulsed ahead. Let's remind it who it's dealing with. The first node loomed ahead, massive and crystalline, twisting like a prism through fractured light. Its surface reflected the stars in impossible angles, showing glimpses of worlds that had been and never would be. The air, or whatever passed for air in the vacuum of perception, buzzed with a vibration that gnawed at the mind. Targeting systems online, Athena announced. Weapons calibrated for energy disruption. Drones ready for deployment. Aria leaned over the console, studying the node's impossible angles. We're not just shooting blindly. Find the weak point. Every structure has one, even living nightmares. Drones launched, sleek and silver, moving faster than human reflexes could follow. They zipped toward the node, scanning, probing, feeding data back to the Valiant. And then the node reacted. Shadows unfurled like liquid metal, striking the drones. Systems overloaded. The first few drones vanished, not with an explosion, but as if swallowed by existence itself. Ren's voice rose, tense. They're learning. Faster than anticipated. Good, Aria said softly. We learn faster. We adapt faster. That's humanity. A sudden pulse from the node slammed into the Valiant, and every console flickered. Time seemed to stutter. Crew members' reflections fractured across the viewport, showing multiple possible versions of themselves. Ren staggered. Captain, what just temporal feedback, Athena explained. It's rewriting local causality. You and I exist in multiple states simultaneously. All outcomes are possible. Aria clenched her teeth. Then we choose the outcome we want, forward, always forward. The next pulse was sharper, more deliberate. The node split into smaller fragments, each targeting different systems in the surrounding sector. Aria's mind raced. We can't fight them all. Not physically. But we can fight smart. She pressed a sequence into the console. Athena, initiate echo pattern disruption. We use its own observation loops against it. The ship vibrated as Athena executed the command. Streams of energy lines, the same patterns the entity used to anticipate movement, were reversed, fragmented, and sent back toward the node. The node shivered. It pulsed violently, shadows unraveling, fragments flickering like dying stars. For the first time it hesitated. Ren's eyes widened. It's faltering. Aria leaned back, voice calm and precise. Humans never wait to see the storm coming. We become the storm, and right now it's learning that lesson. The node recoiled, pulsing with energy so dense that even the Valiant's reinforced hull groaned, but it didn't disappear. It retreated, folding back into the black shimmer like a wounded but intelligent predator. The crew exhaled as if releasing air they didn't realize they'd been holding. For a brief moment, silence filled the bridge. Aria's gaze never left the viewport. This is just the beginning. Every strike it takes teaches it, yes, but it's also teaching us. And when the final cycle comes, we'll be ready. Not because we hope to survive, but because humans never surrender. Ren muttered, almost to himself. 3 cycles, and we've just opened the first battle. Aria's smirk returned, sharp and confident. Good. Let's see how it handles the next one. And somewhere in the vastness, the entity paused, pulses trembling. Its shadowed shapes shifted, and for the first time it hesitated in the face of human audacity. Time ticked on. 3 cycles remained, and the galaxy waited. The Valiant drifted in the black between stars, its hull scarred from the pulses of the entity but unbroken. Inside, the crew moved with a silent determination. Fear had no place here, only focus and the stubborn, unshakable confidence that humans carried like a second skin. Captain Aria Vale stood alone in the observation deck, staring at the black shimmer that stretched like a wound across space. The bridge had given up trying to comprehend it. Even Athena's most sophisticated calculations faltered, refusing to render the entity in a way that made sense to human eyes. Yet Aria understood something deeper. It was alive, yes, but it was curious. It had met resistance, and resistance, no matter how small, was a language it couldn't fully interpret. Captain, Ren's voice broke the moment, low and urgent. We've detected fragments of the Kepler 92b colony. They're somewhere inside the distortion. Echoes. Shards of their existence like memories trapped in a mirror. Aria's jaw clenched. Then we're going to bring them home. Athena's holographic projection flickered to life beside her. Captain, extraction attempts are high risk. The entity monitors time and causality. Any interference could collapse the fragments permanently. Aria's eyes hardened. High risk is humanity's specialty. The mission to extract the colony shards was delicate. Skimmers plunged into the black shimmer, threading through temporal folds that twisted space and time. For each skimmer, the world inside the distortion was different. Fragments of life flickering in and out. Children laughing one moment, gone the next. Cities that existed and never existed. The crew's minds strained against the impossible visions. Ren's voice trembled over comms. Captain, one of the fragments, there's a child, she's aware of us. She's calling our names, Aria swallowed, her heart catching. Then we answer. They maneuvered the skimmer closer, mapping the fluctuating patterns of the entity to isolate stable fragments. Athena guided them, calculating odds, predicting collapses, feeding probabilities faster than any human thought could. Then it happened. A pulse from the entity struck the skimmer directly. Time fractured inside, and for a heartbeat Aria saw herself in multiple realities. Somewhere she was lost, somewhere humanity was gone, somewhere she failed. The hum of the entity filled her skull. You are resilient, it said, voice both everywhere and nowhere. Yet persistence is meaningless. Aria's lips pressed into a hard line. You clearly don't know persistence. Humans redefine impossible. Every second you think will break. We adapt, we survive. We fight. The pulse receded. The entity's shadow recoiled slightly, flickering. A fragment of the colony stabilized. A child laughing faintly appeared on the skimmer's sensors, alive. Ren exhaled sharply. We did it, Aria's eyes burned. We just got started. Back on the Valiant, the crew analyzed the data. The entity's structure was learning, yes, but each interaction left a trace of vulnerability. Patterns repeated, habits formed, even in an intelligence older than the galaxy. Aria paced the bridge, fists clenched. It thinks like a predator, predictable, but that's a mistake. Humans don't play by their rules. We improvise. We disrupt. We dominate, Ren frowned. Captain, it's not just the entity we're fighting. Fleet Command is pressuring us to withdraw. They're terrified. Aria smirked, a spark of fire in her eyes. Let them be terrified. Fear isn't a weakness, it's a reminder that they've never truly seen humans in action. A sudden alert flashed across the bridge. Athena's voice was calm, but there was an edge to it. Captain, new anomaly detected. It's converging on your location, larger, faster, and it's personal. Aria froze for the briefest moment. Then she gritted her teeth. Personal, huh? Guess it's learned we're not just another species. We're humans. And humans bite back. The Valiant surged forward. Outside, the black shimmer pulsed violently, shadows folding in and out like the heartbeat of a god. Within it, glimpses of Kepler 92b flickered, shards of lives waiting for rescue. Aria whispered almost reverently, 3 cycles left. 1 life at a time, 1 strike at a time. And when it thinks we're done, we'll show it the human heart. The entity pulsed again and the stars seemed to shiver. It was learning fear. For the first time, it hesitated, and humans, stubborn, fearless, audacious, were ready. The Valiant shuddered as it raced through the void, weaving through fractured light and pulses of energy from the entity. Every movement was deliberate, every calculation precise, but the tension on the bridge was palpable. Humanity had never faced an intelligence that didn't just kill but unmade, erasing entire civilizations with a thought. Yet here they were, standing defiant. Aria Vale stood at the observation deck, fists gripping the rail. Outside, the black shimmer pulsed violently, twisting stars and bending space like a cosmic storm. The entity's presence was immense, shapes within shapes, angles impossible to comprehend. Yet, as they advanced, she felt something remarkable. Hesitation. Captain, Ren said, his voice tight. We've tracked its movements. The entity, it's converging toward a single point, focusing energy in what appears to be a core, but it's adaptive. Every attempt to approach triggers defensive pulses. Aria's eyes narrowed. Then we stop approaching the problem directly. We find the pattern it can't anticipate. Athena projected an intricate overlay of the entity's structure. Pulses, folds, echoes of civilizations consumed and erased. Captain, she said, if we manipulate the echo loops, we might be able to destabilize the core temporarily. But doing so risks the Valiant's structural integrity. Aria smirked, a glint of fierce audacity in her eyes. Perfect. Humanity thrives on impossible odds. The skimmers launched into the entity's fold, threading the impossible geometry like needles through fabric. Each pulse from the core distorted time around them, creating brief loops where past, present, and future collided. Crew members saw versions of themselves vanish and reappear. Shadows whispered threats that didn't exist. Ren gritted his teeth. Captain, it's anticipating our every move. Good, Aria said softly, almost a whisper. Then let's show it human creativity. Using Athena's calculations, they introduced random variables into the echo loops. Unpredictable energy bursts, shifts in velocity, minor structural diversions. The entity's pulses, precise and relentless for eons, began to falter. A fragment of the core wavered, the folds of the shimmer twitching like a wounded beast. Then it spoke. My persistence is illogical. Why not submit? Aria's voice was steel. We don't submit. Humans survive because we refuse to accept limits. You want logic? Here's logic. Underestimate us and you will lose. The entity pulsed violently. Shadows surged outward, striking at the Valiant. The ship groaned, hull plating glowing red-hot. Athena's voice was calm but urgent. Captain, structural integrity at 50%. Core pulse intensifying, Ren panicked. We can't hold it. Aria's gaze was unwavering. Then we will hold it. Run another echo reversal. Redirect every pulse to overlap. Make it overthink. The bridge shook. Lights flickered. The entity's voice everywhere and nowhere resonated deep inside their minds. Curious. Defiance amplified. Persistent. Unending. A sharp, blinding pulse struck the ship. Time itself warped. Crew members glimpsed their lives unraveling in infinite loops. And yet through the chaos, Aria remained focused, issuing commands like a conductor in a symphony of destruction. The skimmers converged on the core, guided by Athena's predictive algorithms. Energy lines snapped, overlapped, and finally, something remarkable happened. A fissure formed in the core. The entity pulsed, recoiled, and spoke again, slower, deliberate. Human, you are anomaly. You alter fate, unacceptable. Aria's lips curved into a dangerous smile. Anomalies survive. That's all we've ever been. Then came the personal choice. A fragment of Kepler 92b shimmered on the edge of the fissure. Humans trapped in unstable time. Rescuing them meant exposing the Valiant directly to the entity's core, risking total annihilation. Ren's voice cracked. Captain, we can't. The ship, Aria cut him off. And we leave them? We risk every soul just to stay safe? Humanity isn't about survival alone. We fight to save each other. That's what makes us unstoppable. The decision was made. Skimmers accelerated. The Valiant advanced. Pulses slammed against them. Hull creaked. Systems overloaded. Every calculation, every maneuver was razor-thin precision. Then a surge of energy, an almost unbearable hum. Time fractured violently. For a moment, Aria saw herself not on the ship, but on a world erased, surrounded by the screams of millions lost. And still, she pressed forward. The skimmers reached the fragments, stabilizing them. The children, the families, the echoes of a lost colony, alive, suspended in temporary safety. Aria whispered, voice shaking only slightly. 3 cycles. 2 down, 1 left, and we're still standing. Outside, the entity pulsed again, darkness folding and unfolding like it was learning fear. And Aria, standing amidst the trembling stars, realized something vital. Humanity didn't need weapons to dominate. Their courage, audacity, and refusal to yield were enough to make even an ancient intelligence hesitate. Time ticked on. The final cycle approached, and humanity was ready. The Valiant floated on the edge of the void, black shimmer ahead pulsing like the heartbeat of a god. 1 cycle remained, 1. The entity had studied them, tested them, and pushed humanity to the brink, and yet here they stood, alive, defiant, unbroken. Aria Vale stood on the bridge, eyes cold fire staring into the impossible. Every pulse, every shadow, every hum of the entity screamed, submit, cease, erase, but Aria's voice cut through it all. Not today. Not ever. Ren glanced at her, pale but resolute. Captain, this is it. The final cycle. If we fail, everything we fought for disappears. Every colony, every life. Aria turned to him, her gaze sharp, unwavering. Then we make it count. That's what humans do. We stare into oblivion, and we refuse to blink. Athena's holographic overlay shimmered, displaying the entity's core, fracturing and folding on itself. Captain, the core is volatile. One miscalculation, our timeline, our existence could unravel. But there is a strategy. If we can amplify the echo reversal on all nodes simultaneously, we can destabilize its structure long enough to force it to retreat. Good, Aria said. Then we do exactly that. Helm, full alignment. Weapons and drones, maximize output. This is it, people. Show it what humans are made of. The Valiant surged forward, engines blazing. Skimmers launched in a coordinated storm, weaving through folds of space and time. Pulses from the entity slammed against them, each more violent than the last. Time fractured, stars shimmered, and crew members glimpsed versions of their own deaths and victories overlapping. Ren's voice cracked over comms. Captain, it's... Responding! The core, it's... Unstable! Aria's smirk was razor-sharp. Good. Now let's make it regret testing us. Athena executed the echo reversal. Energy lines converged on the core, folding back upon themselves, overlapping, fracturing. The entity pulsed violently, shadows erupting outward. Its voice boomed, omnipresent, resonating in every mind aboard the Valiant. You, persistent, unending, illogical, human. Anomaly? Exactly, Aria said, voice rising with fierce determination. Humans don't follow logic. We rewrite it. A final pulse struck the Valiant, shaking the ship to its limits. Alarms blared. Hull integrity dropped to 23%. And yet every crew member held their ground, eyes fixed on the entity. The black shimmer writhed, folding in on itself. The core fractured, tendrils of shadow snapping like shattered glass. The fragments of Kepler 92b stabilized, floating safely within temporal bubbles. The entity let out a sound. Not quite a roar, not quite a scream, but something that echoed in the empty spaces of the galaxy. Frustration. Then, in a blinding moment, the black shimmer collapsed inward. A pulse of energy shot outward, shaking the stars, then silence. The Valiant drifted in the void, system sparking but intact. Outside, the stars returned, unbroken and shining. The entity was gone, or at least it had withdrawn. Aria exhaled, tension leaving her in a long, slow sweep. We're still here. Humanity still stands. Ren laughed, shaky but genuine. Captain, again, we did it. They'll write legends about this, maybe even in the council records. Aria's eyes softened as she looked at the stabilized colony fragments on the holo display. Children, families, lives that had vanished only to be returned. Legends are nice, she said quietly. But humans, we don't do this for legends. We do this because we care, because we fight for each other, because giving up isn't an option. Athena's voice hummed softly. Captain, the entity has withdrawn, but traces remain. It will likely return, however. Humanity has demonstrated a variable it cannot fully calculate. Aria smiled, fierce and unyielding. Then we'll be ready, always. Outside, the galaxy stretched vast and infinite. But one thing had changed. Every star, every shadow, every civilization now understood that humans were not to be trifled with. Audacious, resilient, relentless, they were more than a species. They were a force. And as the Valiant set course for home, crew and captain alike felt a quiet certainty settle over them. Humanity had stared into annihilation and raised its hand. Hold my beer, Aria whispered, her voice carrying the weight of the cosmos, because we're just getting started. The stars shimmered in reply as if the universe itself acknowledged the truth. When humans fought, no entity, no logic, no shadow could stand against them for long.